Welcome back to Sports Dump, Lewis County's only and finest sports podcast. Sponsored by Deep Breath, Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery, Goebel Septic, AmeriCool Heating and Cooling, as well as new, for now, sponsors, Summit Funding and The Roof Doctor. They're all great. Get out there and wreck your roof, seek funding for a new home, be too hot or too cold.
In a porta potty.
Need a place to go number one or number two. And once you've done all that, settle down on a brand new couch, love seat, easy chair from Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery.
Well, that's all our financial responsibilities. We're done now, right?
That's that. Yeah, let's call it, boys. I'm Aaron Van Tile, joined tonight by Chronicle sports editor Alec Dietz and Chronicle sports reporter Josh Kirschenbaum. It's Wednesday, December 28th, and midterms time, question mark? Exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point?
Kinda.
We're
going to call it pretty much. It's like the right before league play is like a real thing. You know, everyone kind of gets like a taste of it, you know, for a few games.
Everybody kind of screws around and then goes home for Christmas or holidays or whatever.
Well, they don't go home. They go to tournaments and
then
make
you get
us work all week.
What I have a hot take. All of these Christmas, holiday, classics, invitationals, whatever you want to call them.
Should be in Hawaii, yes.
They should all be day two to be determined. Like a lot of them are like, oh, we're going to this holiday classic and you know who you're playing. Like it should be the winners from day one play day two and then you get like a
some tournament
of them champion. Yeah, some of them are. All of them should be.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's my hot take.
I do think it's weird when they call it a tournament when it's not a tournament.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you want it to be a tournament, you should do that. But if it's just...
I mean, even if you call it like a holiday classic, it could still be a tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do more of that. Wrestling, you wouldn't see wrestling do that.
No.
Yeah.
No, the best always wins.
Absolutely. Anyway, that's my hot take for the day.
And that's all the wrestling we're going to get to today, folks.
Yep, that's it. But before we get to anything else, Napa Vines, James Gross.
So hot right now.
You like that addition to the soundboard?
Yeah.
Good to
Threw
know.
that in there? 45 points last night?
Yeah.
Josh, you were there.
I was there. It was impressive.
Tell me about it.
I mean, we're going to get into Napa Vines sort of past week or so in a little bit, but they left a lot on the... they went to an invite where they knew both of their opponents. Sorry. And it went badly.
Classic,
a
if you will?
holiday, yeah.
You can call Rex about this to complain.
They did not do particularly well, and then they got 5 days to sit on it, and they came out a little pissed off yesterday.
Poor Willapa Valley.
Against a very good Willapa Valley team.
They're a strong 1B team, right?
They've always been one of the best teams in that district. I mean,
Yeah.
until this year, that district was always Willapa Valley and Nacelle, and now it's going to be Willapa Valley and Mossy Rock. And Napa Vine just came out completely firing on all cylinders. I think they made their first 3-3-pointers. I think they made 10 of their first 12 shots or something. It was 28-0 at the end of the first quarter.
Oh, Jesus.
So everything was working.
Yeah.
And then you look down at your stats and you're like, oh, James Gross has 16 points in the first quarter. And then you look down at halftime and you're, oh, yeah, he has 31. Well, let's see how far we can take this thing.
Okay, go on.
So yeah, he just kept shooting. He hit 8 3-pointers in the first half.
Pretty good.
Which was pretty good. So then you're on records watch. He had he didn't really cool off. He kind of stopped shooting because obviously they like work in everybody. I mean, they were emptying their bench midway through the first quarter, and then it was just kind of like, okay, we're going to rotate people.
Yeah.
And Valley's defense definitely stiffened up a little bit, but yeah, he finished the third quarter on 40 points and 10 3-pointers, which tied the Napa Vine single game record, and then they got 5 more points in the fourth.
Who had the old records for Napa Vine? Do you know?
So the old records scoring were, he had 42 against Winlock.
Okay.
Earlier this season, that tied Kate Evander, who had 42.
Evander scored 42.
Apparently, he scored 42 once in 2019.
Okay.
Napa Vine
I kind of remember that.
Does have
I could see that
a very
coming.
handy like poster outside their gym with all.
Oh, those are great!
Records.
I love when a school has those.
They also have the 3-point record, which was 10. It was set in 2003, and I'm completely forgetting.
Sturza.
No,
it wasn't Sturza.
No.
2003. Who would that have been? Josh Morris.
Possible.
I'm naming kids that are older than you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, they were in high school.
When I was 5, yes.
Yeah, these.
And I'm
in high school.
I'm sad that I don't remember that because like a record that was set in 2019 is still kind of like, yeah, okay. But like a record that's been there for 20 years is worth mentioning. And I'm kicking myself that I didn't.
That's pretty good.
I don't think I took a picture of it.
Well, and they followed that up today.
Yes, they did.
They scored 41 points in the second quarter to beat Castle Rock 92-46, which also a record, single quarter record for a team.
They're breaking all the records.
Castle Rock is a 1A team that went to state last year.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, I just really wanted to use my.
So hot right now.
And Jaron Prather scored, what was it, 31?
31 and a half, yeah. And then he didn't score in the second half, but still.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to our midterms section here. We've got a section called Wake Up Calls and Bounce Backs. This is from Josh's. We are light on content for the holiday weekend. How about a recap of what's happened so far in the basketball
there's this
season?
really convenient, complete. We never get a break.
Yeah.
4 whole days without games.
Yeah, it was wild. Anyway, you got wake-up calls and bounce backs in there. WFS boys, they lost to Black Hills, bounced back with a good win over Washougal. Then they had 2 wins on a road trip this week, so they are still good.
They're still good, and I mean, this is drawing back the fact that we didn't have a podcast like last week. So we haven't talked about Black Hills beating WF West in what really was a good performance in really the first like good league game we've had, at least on the boys' side, between like 2 contenders in a league. And Black Hills looked really good. And the thing that I took away from that game was that WF West had trouble against the press, and WF West, when they couldn't get the ball to Soren Dalen, struggled because Black Hills put, Keegan Rogan, a 6'9", 6'8" dude on Dalen, and then had 2 or 3 guys kind of helping out to keep the entry pass on it. And when WF West didn't have Dalen available, it just kind of turned into 4 guys passing the ball along their perimeter, not really wanting to shoot. Mm-hmm. And that didn't go well for them. But then they come back against Washougal, and you look, and Tyler Klatouche hits 4 3-pointers in the first quarter. He goes off. I think he scored 23 points in that game. And amazingly enough, you get the guy shooting from the perimeter, and it opens things up on the inside. And it's looked like they followed that game up with 2 good performances against pretty decent sides up north, kind of on the peninsula.
Squim and Cedro Woolley,
yeah. That's if you're gonna have a tough loss, and last week and this week is really the time to get it, because you have plenty of time to turn it around before things and show that you can improve before you really get into league. And I think WF West and Napavine are really 2 teams that took that going forward. They had some bad performances, but have started to turn the corner and go into January with momentum.
Okay. We've also got the Napavine boys on here. We've discussed them at length already. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did have. I mean, if we really want to get into 2B, maybe the West Side sort of supremacy that came with football probably does not exist in basketball.
Okay.
They went over there and lost to Davenport by 20 points, who just got ranked number 1 in the AP poll. Tennessee Rainwater's their best player. Hell of a name.
That's a banger of a name.
Stud. He dunked over a ton of Napa. I mean, I watched the game on live stream and legit. And then they lost by Brewster by 20 as well over there, who I think was ranked number 4 in the AP poll. So those are kind of interesting games when, I'm sure the seating committees later, I'm not sure if they should take super deep stock of those games because I think
the C2BL is so big and teams get so few non-league games in there that they are going to wind up taking those games into account to weigh the East versus West.
Sure, but Napavine also probably isn't the best represent. It's not that they're not a good team. I'm not saying that, but coming off of obviously a late start with football season, I think they had less than 10 practices together before they went over there.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not saying that they're like not a good team or whatever, but maybe not like the representative of the C2BL's strength, particularly this early in the season yet. Could be, but and I don't want to make excuses either. But obviously, that's a really tough early wake up call for a Napavine team that I think will be definitely a state team.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine if the last 2 days worth of games are any indication.
Right.
Other stuff on the wake-up calls and bounce backs. Adna boys lost to 1-8 Kingsway, their first loss of the season. Bounced back to beat Oakville on Tuesday, went 71-44, something like that.
Yeah, that was what we were just talking about with the, having Luke Salmi said, having those early games where you kind of get exposed a little bit, because Adna was kind of coasting through most of their games to that point. They had the overtime game with Rainier, but they were winning. So to get kind of hammered like that, I think Kingsway had 82 points on them, which was a season high by like a lot. Like they hadn't given up more than 60 all year. Sort of was like, oh, okay, these are the things we need to work on. Like obviously we're not going to coast through all these games. So they really came out, and Oakville likes to play one-on-one. They like to get their playmakers in space and make you defend on an island. And so he said they were kind of the perfect opponent to practice what they wanted to practice. And he said they didn't spend any time on the previous practice on offense at all. They didn't shoot. They didn't talk about it, which I don't know if I believe, but
he just went to Coach Carter and made him play defense for. Oh, all right.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think
you just show up for your game and you start to do layup lines, and the coach is like, no, we're doing defensive layup lines, and it's just two lines like backpedaling towards each other.
I don't believe Salmi could go an entire practice without talking about shooting or offense.
Yeah,
I find that hard to believe.
I think it's against everything they stand for. Yeah. Not that obviously
they're anti-defense,
right? They're defensive focused
shoot.
But yeah, but they look good against Oakville. That was I was out of that game, and they looked really like I felt bad for Oakville a little bit because I don't think they were ready for Adna's level of focus in that game. It looked like they were pissed off and on a couple days of rest after a bad loss.
Okay. Adna and Tumwater girls both lost their first games of the season, both to Montesano last week.
Yep.
Montesano pretty good.
Montesano pretty good, and they're just big, and they defend really well.
They have two Dalens.
They have two Dalens.
Mm-hmm. It's hard enough to stop one.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what they say. If you got two Dalens, you don't have one.
No, they have two.
Yeah.
I didn't. So this was the stat that was just incredible was Adna's game. Adna forced 18 turnovers in the first half. Forced 18 turnovers and turned it into scored 23 points in the first half.
Okay.
The next day, Tumwater forced 19 turnovers and scored 10 points in the first half.
How? That just seems...
I don't entirely know, but yeah, Montesano, Tumwater pressed the hell out of Montesano, and they just got steal after steal in the backcourt. And Montesano was just really good at getting back, and once they got into their zone, it was completely impenetrable.
Yeah.
And Tumwater was without Kylie Waltermeyer, so they didn't really have a threat off the dribble. They didn't really have anybody who could create their own shot, and it was just passing the ball along there was no pass to an open spot. There were no open spots in that zone, and the final score of that game was 37-20, and I think 16 of Tumwater's points came in transition.
Okay.
The beautiful game.
They had 2 field goals go in out of a half-court set. It was just some incredible defense. That's what Montesano does to you.
All right. Tumwater boys were 1-3 at the Hardwood Invite, capitalized in Seattle, losing to 3 4A teams. That should have been a tournament.
It was.
I was going to say, it was?
It was, yeah.
They won their first game against a good Kings team. I think they're ranked in 1A.
Yeah.
And then, Tumwater
started playing like Garfield, and
they played Camas, they played Davis, and they played Skyline.
Skyline, yeah.
It was at Garfield. That was the tournament.
It was at Garfield.
Yeah.
Where's Brandon Roy coaching? Is he coaching Garfield?
He's back at Garfield, yeah.
But cool. So Tumwater's quote-unquote wake-up call was that they're probably not a ranked 4A team.
Yeah.
You hate to see it. And then the other bullet point on here, Oakville boys lost a couple and need to get back on track.
I've been a little surprised. Alex been taking most of their scores, and he's seen them.
Yeah, they they just look sort of like shocked at what Adna was kind of throwing at them the other day. I think they just, Adna was laser focused and Oakville wasn't, and that was kind of why it got away from him there. They lost to PL last week, but I think they had like only 6 players suited up, and they didn't have Eddie Clatouche. They didn't have
either
Courtney
Rodas
Price
brother
or Boyd. I think
they had Price. They didn't have either Rodas brother, and they didn't have Boyd.
so. They were missing a lot in their loss to PL, and then they also lost to Chief Leshai, who might be a pretty good 2B team. So,
But the thing we were talking about with Oakville is they don't have the league opponents. Like this was really
know.
their time to.
they're playing Lake Quinault next, and now it's going to be smooth sailing for them up until the district tournament.
This was the week or two that they really could stake a claim.
So it'll be interesting to see. Again, though, this could be a chance for them to bounce back through the course of the season, right? Like this is all the tape you look at where you say, this is what we need to get better at, you know, because we're going to maybe not be seeing teams at Adna's level. Adna would probably win the 1B state title.
Yeah.
I would imagine pretty handily. But you know, just getting exposed a little bit to new challenges and stuff because, yeah, like, you know, I don't anticipate them be getting challenged at all in league play.
All right. And then we have to go to another section called Who Else Has Been Good?
Just a lot of teams that took
Still
actually
good?
Well, and like took advantage of the fact that you could have 5 days off. I know it's like heretical to say, but maybe go celebrate Christmas with your family.
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to do that?
A bunch of teams that are playing tonight or tomorrow who have not played in a week.
Right.
Chief among them, Morton White Pass boys. Still good? Are we sure?
Yes.
No longer
7-1?
ranked number 1, so who knows?
Yeah. Did I talk about when I went out there, or have we really not talked for that long? But I went out there when they played Kalama and they won 91-39.
It sounds like a great experience. Was this in Randall or Morton?
You think I'm going to Randall?
You scared of Randall?
Even Kramer wouldn't ask me to go to Randall.
Speaking of Kramer, he posted a Facebook memory today of a game from 2014 when they beat Zilla, and they were like the number 1 2B team and the number 1 1A team, and said it was like the best game he's ever seen Morton White Pass play. And I was like, I don't know if I remember that game. And then I just looked up the story now, and I covered the game, so I was there. And you know what? It was a pretty good game.
Was it
Chad
in Morton
correct.
or Randall?
It was in Yakima.
It's even further than Randall.
It was the Wilbur Ellis Sundome shootout.
Oh, yeah.
They'd play over there. I think this is one of the ones, like I would go snowboard and then go over to the games in Yakima.
You drive up to the top of the pass and then snowboard down, and that takes you through to Yakima.
I would coast all the way to the shootout.
Getting back is a pain in the ass, man.
Let me tell you,
They're
what a
still
hike.
good. I think the one thing Morton White House is probably missing is just that state player of the year candidate. You know, I don't think they have a Kelson Gebbers or whatever his name is from Brewster, or a Tennessee Rainwater, or
You just wanted to say Tennessee Rainwater.
it's a good name, but
Tennessee
also
Rainwater.
So hot right now.
But also, he is going to probably win State Player of the Year. He's good. Anyway, I don't think they have a guy that's at that level, but at the same time, they're
Really balanced.
really insanely balanced, really, really deep. I mean, if Jake Kinnear gets in foul trouble, they just can move some pieces around, and Carter Dantine comes in, who was a starting guard for them last year when they finished 5th in the state. You know,
no knock on Kramer. He can take this as disrespect as you want, if you want.
Oh, he will.
But I think it's a little bit of a shame. Just, I'm pretty sure looking at their schedule, like it would have been really cool if they would have been at the tournament Napavine was at.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're out of, like, I respect not playing last week, but going into this week, like they're at the tournament at Willapa Valley. And so now like their big winter tournament / invite, whatever you want to call it. Cause I think they
Classic.
Classic. Cause they know that their whole schedule, sorry, Aaron, like they're playing Willapa Valley.
Yeah.
Who is a good team.
Owako.
And Owako, who are good teams but it would have been cool to see them either take on Davenport or Brewster or Cedar Park Christian, some big 1As.
Lake Roosevelt.
Go to the Sundome shootout. That kind of thing.
There's there's the big one down in Fort Vancouver that's actually a tournament this year because there isn't snow. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Would have been cool.
Take on RA Long or
Sure.
I'm sure they would love to play a team like RI Long.
exactly.
Or WF West.
Yeah.
WF West would never do that, though.
I know.
They should. Well, look what happened when they played. I mean, it was the JV team, but Morton White Pass beat WF West JV football team. So I think Chehalis is just scared, I guess.
I would like to imagine Jeff Johnson just like sitting in his office and the phone constantly ringing, and it's like the Josh Fays and the Dennis Bowers and the like.
It's just all Kramer.
It's just
We want to play. We'll stop Dalen.
Play as you coward.
No, just imagine just a random freshman at WF West who's like in his first year as the post player. You know, he maybe shaved for the first time yesterday, and he gets up and there's Josh Salguero.
Well, you wouldn't.
That's a big boy.
He's seen a big boy. He goes to school with Soren Dalen.
Yeah, he's always practicing on the other court.
He doesn't look so big from this far away. Anyway, in the who else has been good category, Tenino boys 6-1.
Yep.
Surprise of the year so far?
No. I think everyone they've beaten, they're another team that I don't really think has played teams that can really challenge them yet.
I mean, Acosta challenged them, but that was more about Tenino than Acosta, I think.
Right. And they did lose to Rainier. That's their one loss. So I don't know, but I think they've been pretty good, and you really, I think for a program like that, you wanted to go into your league schedule with a lot of momentum, and they're gonna go in with a lot of momentum because there's just a lot of beatable teams on their schedule for that roster. So, and they've been out a couple of guys. I think Jack Burkhart's been hurt, and I think they were missing someone else too. But Austin Gonia has gone off for them. I think in their last game he had 10 points and 19 rebounds. And obviously Noah Scow has been a early, also not putting up James Gross numbers, but good numbers nonetheless.
What's Gross averaging now, by the way?
A lot.
Well, it's down because he only scored, 22 today?
He only scored 22 today, which is like definitely well below. I think he's averaging over 30. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
He also I don't think he cracked 30 in either of their games east of the mountains, so those might have brought him down too. But good score. All right. A lot of good scorers in the area this year.
Man, somebody should talk about that.
Yeah, I know. I love to see it. I was so excited to see that 45 up there. It's like, man, look at all those points. Mossrock boys, still undefeated.
They have not played in a long time.
Yeah.
And they haven't played anybody that would make you
Nacelle.
in awe. Oh, they beat Nacelle. Okay.
By a lot.
Nacelle's like 2-6 this year. I'm not sure what's going on with the Comets.
Who's coaching the Comets these days?
It's not Big Lindstrom. It's
You want me to just Google it?
yeah.
All right.
It's not Kobe Glenstad, and Kobe Glenstad is still the assistant.
Is it still Billy Olson?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Unless he retired last year, but it was Billy Olson last year.
It looks like he is still the head coach, according to maxpreps.com, a site that has never been wrong about anything. Anyway, yeah, so Mossrock still pretty good. WFS girls just lost for the first time last night against number 9 Seaholm by a single point. They played number 2 Linden tonight.
That's a tournament right there.
Yeah,
It's not a tournament, though.
No.
It's a classic.
That's a classic right
But it's
there.
a good one. Like
A nice
props
little
to
invitational.
No, yeah, props to all of those schools, though, up there. And props to WF West for making the trip up there to do that.
So the one at
Seeking out tough games.
the top level one is 4 teams. It's Linden, WF West, Seaholm, and Port Angeles. And I saw at the same time they're running a different field at Linden Christian. And I know Washougal's there and a couple other like big name schools.
So just a couple other schools over there that just want you to know how much better they are than you are.
Yeah, pretty much. But probably it has to be the best girls tournament, classic, whatever you want to call it, in the state.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Rainier girls also 8-1. Is that a surprise?
No.
Oh, they got the good girl from Yelm, right?
Yeah, I don't think that's a surprise. I think people expected Rainier to win the league this year.
I'm surprised.
I think the Adna loss was surprising to many people, but are you really that surprised?
Oh,
They haven't
a little
really
bit.
played anyone other than Adna.
just because we'll get into it a little bit, but my thoughts of them were more swung on that Adna loss. And
Sure. But they made state last year
Yeah.
and bring back a majority of the roster other than Faith Besh.
their volleyball team made state last year too, making state. doesn't
Sure,
always
but they finished like 4th in league. They actually had a good, no offense to their volleyball team last year, but their basketball team was definitely a state team.
All right, and then the Mossrock girls are also 4-1. Their only loss was to a Rainier,
Yeah.
but only 5 games. Haven't played a lot.
Again, they have not played a lot. They're
time.
both those
I wonder
teams.
if travel has just been kind of a
Travel's
factor
hard for the
them.
1B. They also had the back-to-backs where like Three Rivers canceled, and when one team cancels, both of them
Right,
cancel.
and like Washington School for the Deaf canceled their
so
whole season.
They've had a couple cancellations at the last minute.
All right.
I'm surprised Mossy couldn't pull more Central 2B teams.
Yeah, I know they have some late in the year against them too.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I also wonder why like Morton White Pass or Mossy Rock don't go across the mountains and play in
Because
there
it's
has
winter.
to be sure, but there has to be some Yakima tournaments they get at. If Napavine could go to Brewster,
Did you
Morton
see
White
the
Pass
Did
could
you see
go.
the picture of what Napavine's hotel looked like?
I'm just saying.
What? No, was it awesome?
It was like under 3 feet of snow.
Yeah, Shane Schutz posted a video. It was kind of crazy. I don't know how they got back, honestly, but
Oh yeah, not that I left them off the list accidentally. But Napavine girls have also they went across the mountains and played 2 good teams and
Davenport
won.
and Brewster and won
Yeah.
both. Yes.
No, they're definitely in that top tier in the C2BL.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a midterm quiz / roundtable on here with a couple points of order.
Wow.
First up, pound for pound, best team thus far. And this counts boys or girls. Josh, you put this thing together. Who is your pound for pound best team thus far?
In our area.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just like in the world.
You
The
see what
A-team.
yeah. Alec wants to talk about what Luca did last night, probably.
Oh man.
Big Luca guy.
Huge
60
Luka guy.
points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists. Anyway, not exactly Soren Dalen numbers, but
Julia Dalen numbers. I'm actually really interested in how that WF West Linden girls game goes tonight
yeah,
in terms of best pound for pound. Like, I think if that would be an upset, but that's a chance for WF West to really stake its claim as the best girls team in the area.
I don't even know if it'd be an upset. I see the Linden rankings and stuff, and I think it's mostly speculative because they
All
return
rankings
everyone.
are speculative.
Sure.
Everything's made up.
WF West beat Linden last year, granted with a different roster, but by 20 points at the state tournament. Like, blew them out. They were nowhere close to their level. So, granted, again, they graduated a bunch of those players, but
Yeah, WF West girls have really impressed me. They have, I think, they're a step in front of the boys in terms of the mentality that you need as a team. Like, they're built really similar to each other. They both got a Dalen in the middle.
yeah.
Obviously, Soren's a senior and Julia's a sophomore. So there's sort of the developmental gap a little bit. I think Soren's footwork's a little more defined. But the team around them, like you get Carly Deskins, Lena Fragner, the rest of those guards who are, I think, way more willing to take the ball and shoot off the dribble, off the pass, and that they're a lot better because of that, opening things up for Dalen in the middle. I've been really impressed. They have that win over White River, then they blew out Mark Morris, and a lot of that was just because they do spread things out a lot more. And it's one thing to spread things out with passing, and it's another to prove that you will let your guard shoot it. So I've been impressed with them.
All right, Alec, pound for pound, who you got?
Pound for pound, I don't know. That's tough. I'd like to see Morton White Pass play like Tumwater.
Yep.
That would be a really, really interesting game because Tumwater has athletes all over the floor. I mean, they probably have the best guard pair in Southwest Washington.
That's part of the problem with these tournaments and invites is, I mean, I haven't seen Tumwater's boys play yet, and you've seen them play, Centralia?
Centralia, right. But I watched them play last year and make their state run, and you know, they're mostly the same. Obviously, they've gotten a little bit better, but and you know, they've got some bigs, they have the physicality, but I also think like Morton White Pass just has so many weapons all over the floor, and they have a weird defense you have to prepare for. You know, they run that 1-3-1. Like last year, I genuinely think the Ellensburg girls might have been the best girls team in the state at 2A. They would have given anyone fits. They had awesome guards. They have a 6'6" post player. Like, there's just not many teams, period, that can keep up with that. So I'm not saying Morton White Pass could go up and beat Garfield. I'm not saying that, but
It'll be fun.
But I'd like to see.
I would
them
like to
play
see
a team like
Garfield go
Tumwater.
to Randall.
Yeah, and get a win.
See Brandon Roy stop by the Huff and Puff and demand a milkshake.
But I guess if I had to pick someone, I think pound for pound, regardless of class, I think Morton White Pass could give just about anybody trouble. The way they're balanced and play at the 2B level. Kramer's not going to like hearing that.
Yeah.
Because he needs me to say, oh, well, those big schools would beat up on them. But I don't think they would. I think they'd compete in every single game. And they're deep, and they have a big man that has comparable size to a bunch of guys in the area. I'd like to see him play WF West. Yeah. That is a game I would like to see. Will we ever see it? Probably not. But
Never.
Well, not this year. But
not ever.
And I would also say, we gave a lot of love to Napavine earlier.
Yeah.
If Napavine plays like they played the past 2 days, I would like to see them play Morton White Pass.
Yeah, I think that'll be interesting.
I still think they need to play the perfect game. Like I'm starting to think about Napavine like we talk about Adna a little bit. Like Adna hitting its shots is a much different team in terms of where they stack up versus Adna missing their shots.
Right.
If Napavine plays the perfect game, I think it could be anybody. And Napavine has just played the perfect game 2 days in a row.
Right.
So that if they can keep this up, like, is it sustainable? Who knows?
Right.
But if they can find this rhythm when it matters, that's scary.
Yeah. 2B is definitely the most intriguing on the boys' side for sure. I think regardless of any class, that race is going to be interesting.
All right. Pound for pound best team, I'm going to say Napavine because that kid scored all the points. See? That's how you just kick a takeout there, boys.
All right.
Look at all the
That one
points.
kid.
That's great.
All right.
James Gross.
So hot right now.
Emerging contender. Who is your a team that maybe you wouldn't have thought was going to be a contender a few weeks ago?
I'm going to say the Adna girls.
Okay.
I thought they'd be like a state team. They were a state team last year, and they bring just about everybody back. Who contributed. They miss a couple. Faith Wellender and Kaylin Todd are gone, but they look very, very balanced, and they have a new group of sophomores that we've talked about before that have stepped up and kind of kept that same level of play that they had last year, and maybe even look a little bit better and more consistent. They have good senior leadership with Brooklyn Luce and Carly Von Moose, and they've looked really good this year. I think they had one of those wake-up calls against Montesano. It's hard to compete with that size early in the season and to kind of scheme around a team like that on short notice. So I like the Adna girls. I think they've impressed me this year. They look like a top 5 team in the state.
All right, Josh, do you have any emerging contender?
I'm still really interested in the Black Hills boys. They lost a lot of close games, or a couple close games early. They lost to Adna. They lost to Mount Tahoma. They lost to Kelso. And then you really saw something against that in that WFS game.
Okay.
That was one where I thought that Black Hills needed to play the perfect game, and they didn't, and they still pulled it out. Simon Neisted, when he gets hot, can get hot. Johnny Stallings, when he gets going, can get going. Jeff Gallagher told me he thinks that Keegan Rogan could be like one of the best players in that league. I want to see him go up. Yeah. I mean, we have seen them go up against Sorendalen, and he held his own against Sorendalen.
Yeah.
I want to see if they
can do it again.
Yeah. I want to see if they can do it again. I want to see if they can take that into districts.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. Like, now they should very clearly be the third best team, if not the second best. Like, if they beat WFS again, they're looking at second place in the EVCO.
Yeah.
Like, their floor is avoiding the pigtail third place. And
they're going to get third in the league.
Yeah.
Or better. The top 3 teams are Tumwater, WFS, and Black Hills, and I don't think it's close. Okay.
And then you see what happens when you get into the postseason.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've covered all the rest of these standout players. We're all just going to say James Gross.
I'm not going to say James Gross.
I'm not going to say James Gross.
Standout player has been James Gross. Anybody else do you guys want to mention?
I want to shout out Reagan Brewer.
Okay.
Especially with Kylie Waltemeyer out for Tumwater. That Tumwater Montesano game, I mean, it was all defense, and Reagan Brewer was like 50% of Tumwater's defense.
I think she's averaging like 10 steals a game.
Yeah, I watched her get 14, and there was a sequence against Montesano where she got a steal, stole the transition layup, or got a steal, scored a transition layup, stole the inbounds pass, got a transition layup, stole another inbounds pass, and got fouled trying to get a transition layup. And keep in mind, that is in a game where Tumwater scored 20 points, and she got 4 of them in like 10 seconds. I feel like Alec talks about Charlie Carper all the time. I think she is the 2A Charlie Carper, especially on a team that is missing its key piece. She is just in every single play, which is impressive for a maybe 5'5" girl playing 2A basketball on one of the better teams in the state.
All right, Alec, your standout player performances. Is it Charlie Carper?
No.
Jeez.
It's Kira. Nope, just kidding.
It's Tennessee Rainbow.
Yeah, no, it's Soren Dalen. Soren Dalen is averaging 20 points and 15 rebounds every single game. And we've gotten so desensitized to the stat line. We don't want to talk about it, but these are absurd numbers. I mean, every single game, Chris Judd texts me and he's like, Soren Dalen, 20 points, 19 rebounds, 5 blocks every single time. And I'm like, oh, this just, it's commonplace for him. But that's an absurdly consistent stat line. Like,
he's the Ashton Demarest football line.
Right. It's like we've come to expect this out of him, but no one else is putting up no one's coming close to those numbers. Obviously he didn't hit his double-double against Black Hills. He had 9 rebounds. He came up just short, but in every other game, he's hit a double-double. He has multiple blocks every game. He, in my eyes, he's the focal point, right? Like he's not scoring off other guys. He is the centerpiece. He's getting double, tripled, whatever. People are trying to stop him. So I think he's been the best player in the area so far this year.
Okay. I'm going to skip the last one just for time's sake. The AP poll, the first one is out today. Do you guys want to just touch on the third one?
First one we're talking about.
Nobody talked about the first
How many
two.
people voted in this one? I didn't even look.
7.
It's so bad.
Oh. All right. 2Bs, who locally is in there? Morton White Pass boys, Napine boys.
Are the links in there? I don't.
No, they are not.
They're on the Chronicle website. You can pull them up really fast.
All right.
Morton White Pass is 2 behind Davenport, I think.
Yes.
WF West boys are not. Are they ranked?
They're not ranked, no.
Should be.
WF West girls are
I
number
rank
3
them.
in the 2As.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice.
I think that's people didn't.
Ellensburg.
People did not look at the results yesterday
Of the
because
Seahome game. 'Cause I don't think Seahome was ranked.
they're 9.
Or 9.
Ellensburg 1, Linden 2 in the 2B girls. Adna 3,
Yeah.
Rainier 5, Napavine 7. All right.
A lot of love for the Central 2B. I don't think I had those teams that high, but
Mossy Rock 5 in the 1Bs.
So
I
hard
feel,
with
I
them
feel like
not
they'll
playing.
finish higher than that, though.
Yeah, once they start playing games.
right. Like Mossy Rock hasn't played in so long. You figure they're going to be up there. Yeah, but I feel like all those spots. Adna might be a little high, but all those spots feel pretty good for the girls.
All right. And then on the boys' side, the 2As, Tumwater 4,
Yeah.
R.A. Long 10. Josh, your dear sweet R.A. Long, will they move up?
I think they should.
They got that one kid that's really good.
He scored. Kevin Holden scored 50 points today.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
WF West they got 2 points. They were like 12th technically.
I think Josh is the only one that put him in. Did you put him 8?
I think I put him 8. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't put him in. I don't think they're a top 10 team this year.
Okay.
Not yet, anyway. They just haven't. A lot of the pieces around Soren Dalen haven't kind of totally come together yet. And if they do, they could be a top 10 team for sure.
And then the 2B boys, Davenport is number 1 with an 8-0 record. Morton White Pass is 2. They got 4 first place votes. Well, Davenport only got 3. So some janky math there.
Well, some people must have put MWP lower than 2 or 3.
They're a polarizing group.
I had Davenport 1 and Morton White Pass 2.
All right.
Chad Kramer, you can use that as motivation.
Chad
Trashed
Kramer
them,
probably
but-
didn't rank him, and that's why.
I watched Davenport beat Napavine by a lot, and then 2 days later they beat Columbia Burbank by 20 points. So I think their resume says they're the best team in the state right now.
All right.
Columbia Burbank, the best Columbia, way better than Columbia LAX when you need to fly in to the Rose Bowl. I don't fucking know.
Anyway,
There's multiple Columbias.
Some good LA humor right there.
Adna is ranked 6th. They're 8-1. And then Napavine is 9th. I feel like Napavine's going to move up in the next couple
I
weeks.
had Napavine ahead of Adna, so I don't know.
And
what's
Mossy Rock
going on
boys are 6th. Valley is number 2 in the 1Bs.
And don't forget number 10.
Oakville. There they are. Look at that. All right. That was our AP poll stuff. Good games on tap this week. Tomorrow is Thursday. Tumwater boys are at home against Capital.
Shrug.
Sure.
It's all right.
And then Adna versus Ilwaco at the Valley Jack Q. Pearson Holiday Classic, I believe it's called.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. That's boys and girls. And then Friday night, Adna boys are back at Valley playing Willapa Valley. Is that correct?
That'll be an interesting one. Just
Yeah.
Are the Adna girls playing at Valley as well?
Yes.
Yes.
And Morton White Pass is also going to be
I think
there.
they're also playing Valley. The Adna girls are also playing Valley
Okay.
on Friday, but that seems a
Sully
little
and
less
Banish
intriguing.
just get to go back home.
Yep.
Nice for them.
I mean,
They are Valley
yeah.
They are Valley royalty.
Valley East.
Adna Ilwaco, that's
They
a
Adna
rematch,
hoops programs.
right?
When Willapa Valley boys grew up, they moved to Adna.
The Adna Ilwaco, that was a game that happened last year, right? In Longview.
Yeah, and Adna won convincingly.
Exactly.
But Morton White Pass is playing Valley on Thursday and then Ilwaco on Friday.
And seeing what Napa Vine. Let's just say, I hope that Valley has figured out how to break a press between the Napa Vine game and the Morton White Pass game. Otherwise, that could get ugly.
Props to Valley they schedule tough teams. I mean, they
Well, they're like West Mossy Rock, as you used to like to say. They're playing all their old Central 2B buddies.
Right. Well, and that and they're a good respected program. You know, they both their girls and boys programs are very strong. So, you know, they go out and play some of the best teams in 2B or even 1A. You know, they're unafraid. So I respect that.
Does one of those buttons play Not Afraid by Eminem? I know you're big on
I know we're
sound
not
bites.
supposed to care about Valley once football season ends.
Care
but
about Valley. Everybody cares about Valley.
well, they're outside of our coverage area, though.
Yeah, they're like
Fluke and I joked about that. They're like, once football season ends, we can't talk to each other anymore.
It's
We'll
they're
see each other
outside
basketball
the coverage
games.
area, but like everybody in Lewis County is always keeping an eye on what Valley's doing for some reason.
I know. I'm making a joke.
Just like Wakayakum, they always keep tabs on Wakayakum too.
I don't do that.
You do.
I'm going to say this right now. I do not care about Wakayakum at all.
Wow. Also, Friday, Black Hills boys host Hudson's Bay.
That's just interesting because
GSHL FCO matchup.
yeah, that's a not good GSHL team. Black Hills should hammer them.
Okay.
If they don't, then yeah, that's another one you look forward to.
It's like a barometer test, really, for when districts rolls around.
yeah, you notice I said
pecking
temperature taker on the notes.
Yeah,
that's
that's
because
very
I
good.
did not think of that word, and that was the word I was looking for. It wasn't thermometer. I almost wrote thermometer, but
Yeah, district thermometer. And then the Rainier girls host Yelm. Angela Askey's old team gets to come to town and say
Probably
hello.
lose.
Sure. Are they going to beat Yelm? Yeah, I guess so.
Probably.
Yelm's what, 3A?
Yeah.
Monday night, the Rainier boys are at Mossy Rock. That'll be a good temperature taker game for Mossy Rock.
see how the Fighting Meldrums can do.
Yeah. And like Mossy Rock's going to be real impressed by a team with three brothers on it.
Triplets.
Mossy Rock pulls like 6 cold kids out of the closet.
Yeah. Oh, we got more.
You think that's impressive?
I found out that there was a third fluke on Valley yesterday, so
Wow. And then Tuesday night, the PL girls play at Mossy Rock. Is that a league game?
that is a league game. That's probably, I mean, depending on how Nacelle shakes out, see if PL wants to show up on the big stage.
Boys or girls?
Girls.
Yeah, they've been impressive too. We didn't get to the PL girls, but other than a couple losses, I think they've beaten Acosta twice. They're kind of on a win streak a little bit. So, if things, again, it's one of those teams where obviously everything starts with Charlie Carper, but if things can kind of start clicking around her, like they could be dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, they could be like a team to watch coming down into, the end of January.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to wrap it up there. Anything else you guys want to add?
Nope.
All right. In closing, we are sponsored again by Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery, Goebel Septic, AmeriCool Heating and Cooling, and new sponsors, Summit Funding and The Roof Doctor. Thank you for listening and direct all complaints to Alex's Twitter account.